as the learning space. Musau mythology is encompassing all that. They are the best agricultural laborers in Bihar. And this one, I did a series of projects for 6 years with NEG Fire from Delhi. So this was in the second year. After a series of workshops for teachers, field workers of NGOs, children in villages, we thought, there are so many people with so many talents and so many knowledge systems, how can we bring them all together to one space and at least in each village, create a space, a learning space. And this was one product of one such idea. We called it Village Visual Storehouse. So the entire village came together and did this construction of this house. The image of this, the plan of this also came from all the adults. They all sat together and did many drawings. And then we came to a design of this one, like a seed. And then some were very good at masonry, some were good at carpentry. Women were excellent in plastering, and then children also. And this became a kind of gallery space for people to, we had series of workshops after that, and all the products were exhibited inside this. This was another one in Chhattisgarh with the Baiga tribe. The previous one was with the Bhil tribe. Move on. So that space itself became a kind of space in the village to explore. And simultaneously we developed kitchen garden. We brought seeds based trees and fruit trees. And then for each contribution that they made, we gifted them. So there was a kind of a concept of giftivism was discussed. And in this entire project, there was no conversation about money. So this is actually a learning process beyond classrooms. This can never be achieved in a classroom probably. Even in architecture college, they won't go for these kind of experiments because there is no experts. There was no expert. And I also participated in all the works. I labored, staying in the village, carrying soil, carrying cow dung, carrying water, eating the same food. So then the community was, so there the teachers, children, adults, elders, everybody was part of it. There's no wall actually, there's no wall. Kerala is full of wall, every house has got walls now. And then we are imposing self-food. And if you open up the windows, walls, there's room for collaboration, conversations, and then, Then there is no question of discipline because in the vastness of space, everybody gets focused. In a prison, in a cell, nobody is focused. Everybody is actually constantly thinking of world outside. It's restless. This heart is restless. But in a vastness, classroom is also, children are happy when the bell rings at 4 o'clock. Because they're waiting for the vastness of that space to be what they are. Okay, you can move on. Then we cannot actually segregate subjects. Everything is integrated. Everything is actually a conversation, collaboration between subjects. Then the village is actually full of knowledge resources. I did a series, a 2-year project with a village in Bihar, in Samastipur, called Kalaunja. And there, no workshop happened in the classroom. We started with that, there was a circle where we were all standing in a bagicha. Then the workshops happened in carpenters, basket weavers. Basket weaver was brought into the classroom, not as a basket weaver, not as a malla, a scheduled tribe, caste malla. He is not respected at all. He is just a basket weaver. All the teachers in the class, in the school are bhumihas from 2 families. They occupied the entire resources. But then majority of the children are from lower caste communities. He was invited as a person who has the deep knowledge of bamboo to scale it to a flexible strap, and then you could weave. Weaving is the basis of pixels. Computer pixels have come from weaving actually. Then no more, the bamboo is no more caste-based. It's opened up to everybody. Move on. Then the tailor, he's a Muslim. Post 2014, suddenly he has become an other in that village. But we conducted the workshop in the tailor shop. Children knew about each part of the machine, the process of tailoring, the process of designing. Then we moved on to carpenter. 30 tools with 30 designs and 30 functionality with 30 names, different names. In that entire day, children learned all the names. They made cutouts, they made replicas in clay, bakery, again another Muslim shopkeeper shop. Children, finally they designed biscuits also for each one. Each person made one mark, and then and finally when the exhibition happened, the upper caste community opposed to having the exhibition in these shops. They said nobody will go to those shops because they are Muslims. Till the other day they were friends actually. I said no, even if there's one child or even one person, it is going to happen there. So the entire exhibition happens in the village. So it's no more classroom based. Marketplaces become the gallery spaces. Adolescent girls who are not supposed to roam around in the village, they're also part of this, and nobody could oppose, the elders could not oppose them coming to these spaces because they are part of it, and the results are there. Okay, move on. Okay, move on. So, like, yes, other people also are talking about elders narrating their stories. Yeah. So there is no space in classrooms for children to share their personal stories. Most children have got a lot of stories to share, and probably it's art-based methodologies, art-based tools are the best way for children to, open up their vulnerabilities and to feel safe also. To create safe space in the classroom is so important. And that personal story is also connected to the collective stories, collective memories. Healing takes place by sharing stories and converting that into another form. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Can you move on? Yeah. Yeah. So in Kalaunjar itself, we brought 3 or 4 adults from the community of different age groups, and then they narrated these stories, and children recorded 1.5 hour sessions each. Recorded, they re-listened, replayed, listened to the entire narration again. Then the groups were split into small groups. Each group took portions of these narrations. Each person took portions of that portion. So each child made illustrations on the basis of these narrations from whatever portions they could get. And then they illustrated. And those illustrations were brought together, compiled them, and then 12 panels were created like this, which were made into books. Yeah. Similarly, in Arakku Koraput, again with NEG5, we did a series of projects on multilingual storybooks, because in Arakku Koraput there are 5 non-documented, in the sense, non-scripted languages. But the classroom has got one classroom, 1st standard to 5th standard. Children from various languages, they don't understand each other. Textbooks are either in Telugu or Oriya. Teacher speaks either Telugu or Oriya. But then the classroom happens. It's a miracle actually. And there we were invited to create multilingual storybooks. And this is just one panel. We had 45 storybooks, and then as many as personal storybooks also. All illustrated by themselves. Stories came from this. So initially they were talking Panchatantra Kathas and all, but then we went into personal storytelling. After that, when we asked them to narrate stories which were beneath Panchatantra Kathas, they were very interesting stories. And then the whole day they came one by one and sat in front of the computer camera and spoke in their own language. Then the translators translated that into Hindi and then gave it to us. I mean, that's how we facilitated them. But beautiful stories and beautiful illustrations. This is one poem. I mean, it's a popular song in that community, so it was based on that. Okay. So storytelling is also about body, the stories of body. So body mapping is an important activity that we do, where cross-body transactions happen, and then your stories are shared, and then they are made into images, which most of the participants go through actually in a process. Yeah. So these images also evolved from the stories that we collected from the community, and they are made into large clay panels, and then later they are baked and then installed in the school itself. Yeah, okay. So with all these personal stories, then there is a need to understand the other. An upper caste would like, an upper caste child has the urge to understand the stories and context of the scheduled caste community also, which is in the same community. For example, in Bihar, the teacher who belongs to Bhumihar has never been to the SC Tola. But then she had to come with me because we were interviewing community members. So then we asked people to open up their courtyards. Many workshops happened in the courtyards, no? And all the children were from mixed caste groups. We cannot talk about caste discrimination openly there. But then this was a powerful means to bring back those conversations into the inner circle, and we could seriously talk about caste discrimination in the presence of children and youth also from various caste groups. Okay, just so yes. So when you pull in all these resources, children also has the liberty to redesign their own learning spaces. Instead of Mickey Mouse and Hathi, laughing elephants and squirrels, and children are not just thinking about elephants and squirrels and no, and three mountains and a river. And they have many other imaginations also. They see many other things also. So you allow them, and then afterwards you can erase them. Again, paint, repaint, another image, beautiful. No? So finally, with all these things brought together, I started Art Room for the Kochi Vinale Foundation. And now it is no more about art. It's called Art by Children, but I realized that there's no point in just focusing on children. Adults also are equally in need of safe space with an inner child yearning for some creative expression, some freedom. Everywhere they are watched, everywhere, at home, in the institute, everywhere you have to prove. You know? So the art room opened up the space to all kinds of people. And several workshops happen. It's a multiversity. It's countering the university concept also. No? This time we have 100 facilitators from various streams from all over the world coming to conduct 3 days workshop, 2 days workshop, 1 day workshop, and looking at pedagogy critically and beyond academia and classrooms. Okay, so similar thing in schools also, 6 government schools. There also we are looking at, and there we are not asking for mercy from them. It is a fundamental right and need of a child. So we say 2 hours, enough. No, there's no compromise. So from class 5 to 8 or class 4 to 7 or class 1 to 7, all of them have to go through at least 2 hours of session every week. And those modules are not created in advance. They are not packages. They evolve out of the context. They evolve out of the needs of children. So in 6 schools we have programs, but then in each school the modules also vary. So I feel that we don't need world-changing or revolutionary ideas which would change the entire country together. We need small initiatives which are not really scaled up, but small different kinds of seeds growing slowly and in a steady way, like a forest, not like a plantation. Education system is a plantation, but we need more forests actually. And probably let's go slow, not scaling up. That's what I feel. Then only we can have empathy towards ourselves and others also, to other non-human beings also. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Blaze, for sharing your experience and insights. Clearly, it proves that art is not just an addition to the learning, it is at the very heart of it. And highest form of education, it's not just the one which teaches us or gives us information, but the one which teaches us to live in complete harmony with all the existence. So without wasting any time, our next speaker, I would like to invite Mr. Manav Dikshin, and he is Manas Dikshin, sorry, Dakshani, Manas Dakshani, who is a social work practitioner and program lead at Teach to Elicit. Yeah.
Thank you. Very difficult it will be to follow this, but maybe this was also like an opportunity for me to talk about my work at Elicit. And I'm also, when I was making this, or when I was thinking about what is it that I want to talk about with people who are also education practitioners, I thought I will start with something very personal. So when I was offered to do this, to manage this program that was running in South Kashmir, or I was asked to run it in South Kashmir, the first thing that came to my mind was like, why me? And I took a month or so to kind of say yes to this. I am Manas. I come from Ahmedabad. I'm a upper middle class Hindu person who has grown up only in Ahmedabad, and now I'm looked at as a person who can work in a context like South Kashmir, which is a context that has been often missing from how we think about education, or what is education, what education does for the people that run it and benefit from it. I come from, I have done my bachelor's in communication, and then I happened to work in a community radio station. I started interning there. Then I became a radio producer. I started jockeying, and I was very scared of like doing this in a panel format, because radio is this only. It's just that you can't see the faces. So I was very conscious, but I was thinking about how did I become this self-critical person whose first thought was to think, why me, and not what I can do with this opportunity. And that's what kind of brought me to Elicit, or attracted me to the work of Elicit. Elicit stands for Education Livelihood in Conflict Impacted Territories. We work at the intersection of education and conflict. Next, please. It's crazy how conflict is not thought about when we design education, because 1 in 6 children in the world is a child of conflict. These statistics are from the United Nations, I think 2024 survey, and this is from our manifesto. This is something that our founder Lopa wrote as a poem, but also it represents what Elicit does. When I started working, when I moved there to the context, not knowing anything about it apart from what I had seen passing by when my father was watching news, was that the reality was very different to what I had expected, or what my biases were. These were some art activities that in the beginning we were doing with our children to kind of get to know them. What is it that their aspirations are? How do they see the world? What is it that they perceive us doing as people who have come from the outside and are trying to work with them? What does it look like? My first learning was that everyone is born with power, and education enables us to realize and exercise it. Now, since the morning, I have been hearing a lot of ideas about education, what education means for them personally, for the organization. And it's wonderful that it is so diverse, and that is what maybe the power of education is. We celebrate that, you know, access is something that we have you know, achieved when it comes to right to education or even right to quality education. But when we think about a space like conflict, it is very important that we think of it also in the terms of healing, and not just curriculums and syllabus and how to get ahead. Like Blaise said, like a lot of things that we keep on borrowing from others, even dreams we sometimes borrow. And when I started out, I was very afraid of children at one point. It is very funny because what feared me was that I do not know what they are thinking of me, and the only difference between an adult and child is that the child will not hold back in telling me. So a classroom is basically a mirror, and when we are kind of working with a lot of students and eliciting learning from the class, so that it's not I know now I'm you know, pouring into an empty glass. It is collectively discovering learning from whatever we have in class. Safety is a privilege and design is a disruption challenge is something that, you know, the first kind of banner thing that this organization had, and I was trying to unpack what this means when I as me myself, I'm working in a conflict space. Next, please. We learned that the impact of conflict is something that we are trying to find out in the beginning. What is it that the conflict does, so that once we confront it, we know what to do with it. First step is to get awareness to everything, right? So that is something that we started with. And the model that we had proposed was tri-layered. We have two curriculums. One curriculum is a fellow curriculum, a curriculum that the teachers follow, and the second one is the student curriculum, one that fellows execute with children. And both have 3 layers: self, classroom, and community. This is the fellow curriculum, and in students, it is self, peers, and Kashmir. These 3 domains, with both of these stakeholders we work with. Self deals with the personal, classroom with the practice, and community with the political. How is something we'll find out. First of all, self is something that all of it begins, like where all of it begins. Self is where the inner world is located. Self is where we perceive ourselves. Self is where you know, the idea of relating with the other begins. So in this domain, we work with not just self-criticism, because it is seen as something that is bad and that is to be solved. Self-criticism is something that is a skill. So critical consciousness from Paulo, we research with the idea of narratives. How do we not just focus on numbers, very important they are, but also focus on qualitative data, like how assessing through what is it that the child is able to do, what is it that the child is able to process for your own inquiry question. That is something that we keep on building with kind of all of our stakeholders. That happens through reflection, regulation, response, navigation, response building, navigation. All of this we have kind of made it into a curriculum, into a system itself, because system, I think, is what is most sustainable. We are building the individual, we are building the self, they are building their practice in the classroom, which is something that we'll talk about next. Classroom mein ab tak humne whatever we have worked so far in the classroom or even in the school, the entire school as a space, is that we have discovered these 6 common struggles. I think in the morning also someone mentioned struggles, and struggles are the fights. Jo sangharsh chal raha hai, the word for struggles is sangharsh. So these are the struggles that we kind of discovered that in all conflict spaces they are common. We are going to prove these in other spaces as and when time comes. But right now, these are the things that we, you know, educators love to see. First was endangered treasures. This was some chapter in social science. Now environmental science is also included in social science. So this was a chapter, and the prompt that the teacher, that the elicit fellow gave them was things, experiences, feelings, or ways of being that are fading. That was because that endangered species are basically fading away. So this is something that the fellow found an opportunity to talk about in class. And this is what came about in collaboration. This Zainab, Sehvish, and Mahur, all three of them, they visualized what is their idea of fading. And this becomes a political act of putting out a feeling, a story, visibilizing the self, and this becomes an act of healing for the student. Another chapter was conversation between father and son about growth of a seed to a plant. And the textbook has mentioned कि पापा समझा रहा है कि पहले ज़मीन में डालते हैं, फिर उगता है, and the plant grows. What the teacher talks about with the student is things that are invisible but powerful. Taking opportunity from the idea of seed. Next, please. What we did outside today, what Blaze did with us, was something that is, imagine doing that with a bunch of people every day. That is what makes it a culture. कि हमारे class में हमेशा starting में we do some physical activity. It has become culture. It is something that I can expect the next time I can come to. That is how I experience safety, and I look forward to come to the class. It's very small thing. हम 35 minutes, 45 minutes का class होता है. 5 minutes is something that we can dedicate to culture building. And how the culture is built by making sure everyone is upholding it. That is the only difference between a culture and a rule. So we kind of we have rules in our class, but we move away from rules to language of cultures so that everyone is subscribing to the idea of learning in the classroom. These are some examples. I will talk about one example in the next one, which is Akash. Akash is a English teacher. He also comes from my city, Ahmedabad. He just comes from the west part of Ahmedabad. I'm from the east. What he did, what he recognized was that the children were never being listened to by the authorities of the school. So there was no communication between the child and the leadership community. So what did he do? Whenever a child would come to him to ask कि हमारा ये नहीं हो रहा है, हमारा 10 दिन हो गया, आज तक 10 दिन में एक भी sports period नहीं मिला है, what do we do? And they came to the teacher because they did not have a space to go to the authority. One thing that traditional systems love is written letters. Like if it is written somewhere, it's official. So Akash asked them to write about it. What is your complaint? What do you want? Write. This way they practice English. These letters reach the authorities. They see how they are actually using the skills that their teachers are teaching, and they're bringing about hyper-localized change within the system that they exist in, and it's supposed to deals with our underconfidence and so on and so forth. So this is one image that I found very interesting, which is about the process of inclusion. It begins with exclusion. When we complain about exclusion, we are not saying that the institution should not exist. We are saying exclusion should not exist. So we move away. We do not use language of calling any person a problem. We call the problem a problem. And that is how we begin inclusion, and we teach to diversity. Next, please. Right now, you like it or not, people are inspired by you. You are constantly teaching. You are building yourself so that you can teach. I learn so that I can teach. Every adult has of the fellowship. There are only 2 that graduated. It is very challenging work. It is a lot of emotional labor, mental labor, physical labor, intellectual labor that needs to be there when you are starting out. But all of these people are contributing towards the system that we are trying to build, which will benefit the further people who work in conflict, not just fellows, but bringing conflict and trauma impact and trauma awareness to, say, education policy would be something that all of these people are working towards. This is also part of the manifesto. I am part of what makes you. You are a part of what makes me. I deserve and I hope and I wish the same for you. One last one. You can, this was at our school and I love it. Roses are red, I go to bed. You, this is just our website. Huh? Bed. Yeah, I go to sleep. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Manas, for that deeply human and thought-provoking talk. Next up, we have Mausam Kumari, a passionate library activist and the director of the Community Library Project. Please join me in warmly welcoming her.
Hello, and thank you all for giving me the chance to speak about my library. So, my name is Mausam, and I am the director of the Community Library Project. And the Community Library Project believes people think, but access to book allow people think powerfully. So, we run 3 free libraries in Delhi NCR, in Khirki village, in South Ex Kotla Mubarakpur, and in Sikandarpur village. And today I would like to talk about one of them. Before I continue, I would like to say that English is not my first language, so maybe sometime I will slip into Hindi, so don't mind it. So, as I was saying, we run 3 free library, one in Khirki village, one in South Ex Kotla Mubarakpur, and one in Sikandarpur Ghoshi village. You can see Delhi, a city like Delhi is actually composed of village. We serve over 14,000 membership and their family. Perhaps 80 to 90% are first generation school goers and migrant to the city from rural India. Together, library members share a collection of 50,000 books, internet access, and digital devices. Today, I want to talk about to you our Khirki village library, which has over 6,000 membership. So you can see from the map, some people come from far away in the library, and who come from the far away library, they enter from the press enclave mark, and some of the people come nearby to the library. So in press enclave, there is a major mall. The district court is also located nearby. Most members come from the library to 5 to 6 neighborhoods, which is the bastis in formal settlement, which are within walking distance of the library. There are more than 100,000 people living within the catchment area of the libraries. The nearby neighborhoods include Jagdamba Camp, Panshil Vihar, Chirag Dilli, Khirki Extension, and Haujrani. Some of these neighborhoods are predominantly Muslims, and some are mostly Dalit, Bahujan, and Adivasi peoples. And most library members are working class. Many are from migrants from Bengal, Odisha, some are from Tamil Nadu, and still other are from Bihar, as just I am too. In 2006, my parents left their home in the small village of Khajuri in Samastipur district and migrated to Delhi in the search of better life for our family. I was 6 years old when I came to Delhi. I attended an area school. To be honest, I don't like going to school because of the education system, because there you always forced to get good marks, read, and just follow the structure, getting good marks. I really feel sad when I was going to school, because one day I raised a question about that the fan is not working. So my teacher gave me a 1-hour lecture, explain me how government is expending on us, like you are complaining and government are spending too much money on you. So just do your study, don't focus on the fan, good student can read anywhere. So she really gave me 1-hour lecture that day. So in 2009, something changed in my life. So a neighborhood NGO started a community library, and 2 people started coming and reading story to us in the library. I enjoyed that experience. Even then, I was not all fond of the books themselves, but I love listening and thinking about the books, about the story that being read to me. The illustration in the book were very attractive to me. I used to take the book home and look at the illustration of the books. Most books in our library was in English because those books are donated, and they were also starting the library for new. Slowly, I start reading that, and my English also improved. The shelf in the library were open, and it made me easier to choose the book what I want to read. Even though there are no tables and chair, we will sit with the library on the floor and discuss the book we are reading. We had a lot of fun time in our library. But my government school library experience was completely different experience. Books were kept in the closed cupboards, and the thick coats of dust are laying on the books. During once a week, there is a library period, and when I go to the library, the teacher say, just keep quiet and read the old magazine in school. So they don't allow us to borrow book to take the books home in my school. But when I became the part of the library, for first time, no one asked me to sit down and keep quiet in the library. They asked me to read books, and I can go to the library and I can question them, oh, which are the books you have? Can you give me this book? Can you read me a story? So this experience was very different from what I get in the school. So the books were very beautiful, and I have complete freedom in the library. So now I would like to show you a small film about my library, so you will get idea what we do, and then I'll continue my talk.
India's national capital region of Delhi. In this city of over 32 million people, this is the story of a free library.
सभी के लिए स्पेस बनाना है, जहाँ पे 4 साल से मतलब एक लाइब्रेरी के अंदर ही है कि 4 साल से कोई मेंबर्स आ सकते हैं, चाहे वो आप छोटे चाहे बड़े, कितने भी एज के,
चाहे वो किसी भी जाति का हो, किसी भी धर्म का हो या किसी भी लिंग का हो।
ऐसा कोई स्पेस जहाँ पे जाके मैं अपने थॉट्स को रख सकूँ और उन थॉट्स पे काम भी कर सकूँ।
सो फ्री मीन्स जस्टिस, फ्री मीन्स हक, कि वो हर किसी का हक है तो वो फ्री है।
सबको इन्फॉर्मेशन एक बराबर से मिलनी चाहिए, पढ़ने का हक एक बराबर से मिलना चाहिए, एक स्पेस मिलना चाहिए जहाँ पर सब इक्वली ट्रीट किए जाएं।
ऐसी लाइब्रेरी जो कि कम्युनिटी की है, जो कम्युनिटी से के लिए है और जो कम्युनिटी से बनती है।
What do free libraries mean for us, the people who live in India?
We do not have a public library system and we do not have access to reading for all people equally. In fact, the vast majority of people do not have access to reading, which means fundamentally we're not able to be the society where ideas are shared.
The Community Library Project, or TCLP, is a living example of what a free library can do for its people.
The idea was to make a space that everyone could come to and that they could function as a community in supporting one another in reading.
A decade ago, when TCLP opened its first library in Delhi, many doubted that it could be a space for such collective power. But we always believed it was. Today, we have 3 branches across Delhi. But we always believed it was. Today, we have 3 branches across Delhi. Over 48,000 books and are nearly 10,000 members strong. We are determined to reach every single person in our community, especially those who have been locked out from accessing books, knowledge and information for generations.
मतलब मेरा जो पूरी फैमिली है उसमें से मैं पहला इंसान हूँ जो कॉलेज जा रहा है इस टाइम पे। उससे पहले मेरे फैमिली में कभी भी कोई कॉलेज नहीं गया, तो लाइब्रेरी में वो इन्फॉर्मेशन मेरे को और मेरे को एजुकेशन देखने का एक अलग नजरिया मिला, मेरे को एजुकेशन को देखने का।
Our free library is a model of what a just society should look like: free, excellent and inclusive.
करिकुलम लाइब्रेरी में होना बहुत ज़रूरी है क्योंकि लाइब्रेरी हर एक उम्र के हर एक इंसान के लिए, और लाइब्रेरी का हमेशा एक इंटिमिडेटिंग स्पेस होना ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वहाँ पर आप सिर्फ आपके हाथ में किताबें ही हैं या फिर वो ऑपरेसिव अमाउंट ऑफ साइलेंस ही है। वो एक जगह है जो हर एक उम्र के हर एक इंसान के लिए हो सकती है। तो लाइब्रेरी के जो सबसे छोटी उम्र के सदस्य हैं, 4 साल के सदस्य हैं, उनके लिए लाइब्रेरी में किस तरीके की प्रोग्रामिंग हो सकती है। रीड अलाउड्स लाइब्रेरी का एक बहुत मेजर प्रोग्राम या कल्चर कह सकते हैं, लाइब्रेरी का कल्चर है। और हम तीनों लाइब्रेरीज में दिन में दसियों रीड अलाउड्स कर रहे हैं और मेंबर्स डिमांड या फिर जो प्रोग्राम्स के अंदर रीड अलाउड हो रहे हैं। और उसके बाद रीडिंग जर्नी को सेलिब्रेट करना, सच एज ऑनर रोल प्रोग्राम जिसके बारे में मैंने बताया कि जब कोई लाइब्रेरी का सदस्य 10 किताबें पढ़ लेता है तो उनका नाम ऑनर रोल में चला जाता है। और वैसे ही जब वो सर्कुलेशन के थ्रू 80 किताबों पढ़ लेते हैं या सर्कुलेशन में 80 किताबें से गुजर जाते हैं वो, तो उनको एक मौका मिलता है ऑन बुक रिपोर्ट्स लिखने का। उसी तरीके से लाइब्रेरी का एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट प्रोग्राम है रीडिंग फ्लुएंसी प्रोग्राम, जो कि 7 वीक्स का इंटरवेंशन होता है। वैसे ही एडल्ट लिटरेसी एक प्रोग्राम है लाइब्रेरी के अंदर जिसे कि बनाया जा रहा है और वो चल रहा है, जो कि 18 से बड़ी उम्र के लोगों के लिए है जिन्हें कि लिटरेचर या एजुकेशन तक पहुंच नहीं पाए या फिर उनको एक्सक्लूड किया गया है।
We, the library people of TCLP, are showing India that libraries can change the world. If you ask us where India's readers live, we'll tell you, in the free libraries that we are building.
Thank you. So, like from the video, you have seen that we work with every age group, and right now we are working with 0 to 3 peoples also. So in that video, we said ki we are our youngest member is they are 4 age group member, but now we are working with 0 to 3 member age group also. So our work with children is near our library. There are informal settlements of Basti named Jagdamba Camp, and there is 3 Anganwadis. And every Tuesday we went to those Anganwadi and read the story to the members, to the children, because we have seen that the Anganwadi center does not have sufficient materials to help the children grow and learn. And research also tells that in early years are crucial for laying the foundation and building the capacity to learn in children. And if we are not beginning at that stage, we do not lay a strong foundation for our children's. So then the children already be behind, and when in the later year they are forced to give the exam, they might fail, and that may result the dropout from the school. So I recall a meeting with a member's parents whose child was enrolled in Anganwadi, and the mother only became aware that her child has anemia after talking with a librarian. She showed the report to the librarian, and the librarian told that her child has anemia, not like he also have a fungal infection, but he's also have anemia, because from the report you can see and librarian can tell the information. And now the parent was like very stressed, ki how will our children get developed, how he will study in his future. So from that incident, we observed that we must see education as an integrated, interlinked with nutrition and caregiving facilities. So we also work with students of colleges. There are 3 colleges nearby our library. Many students from those colleges come to our library to use the space. They come to the library to use because in our library there is free Wi-Fi and laptops, book launches, lectures from the professor, workshop on artificial intelligence as well as on constitutional values. There are no late fines and fees. You don't have to show a single document before taking the admission in the library. No mark sheet is required in our library. Like we are saying documentation is also restricting you to enter the library, because we are trying to make a space free and accessible for everyone. So if we charge a single rupee of money from any member, it means we are restricting them to use our library. So main agenda of our community library project is the library must be free and no documentation. You should give the access to each and every student. So the library is open till 8 p.m. And students want more hours to come in our library, but because of the fund shortage and other constant or problem, we are not able to open it 24 and 7 hours. So we are open 6 days to 8 hours. I think students need a community to face the difficult work of studying and exam preparation. People of different ages, educational background and academic state sit together and the space is alive with interdisciplinary learning. So all of this is made possible through our curriculum and the best practices that we keep revising, while I'll refer some of them later here if I got chance to talk about our curriculum in the panel discussion. We work with women also, as in the video we have shown you that we work with adult literacy. That was our pilot program. We are still working on it. How can we implement a regular program like that in which we work with the women or other gender people to make them literate. So right now what we are doing with women's are that in our library we run a women reading programs. Young women age of 16 and above came together to read and listen stories. A number of these women have dropped out of the school for one or another reason. One woman may be around 21 years old, a mother of 2 children, and have studied up to class 9th because she has some experience of getting the library experience in her childhood. She can come for her children and is asking about NIOS, how can she continue her own studies. Another might be 45 years old or 50, 60 years old whose schooling ended at class 2. Today she is participated in our reading, today she is participating in our women reading circle. She may met the child from a college who are coming to the library and who informed her about the library, or we run a Park Mein Read Aloud program in our library, so might be she get information from that particular program. So now she came to the library and she's reading the storybooks, and now she's demanding that right now you are reading me a story and we are just listening. We also want to read a story by our own. So we need classes in the library. So we are planning to start like adult literacy program in our library. Then I would like to compare the government library. Like in Delhi, we have government library also. But what are the problem why people are not going to government library, why people are mostly interested in coming to our library? Because the libraries which are opened by Ministry of Culture or the Delhi government, they are not easily accessible for our members. So like you can see from the map, it's very far away from our locality. The Aramb Library and the Delhi Public Library, these two libraries are very, very far away. So the women or the child who are only 6 or 8 years old, they are not able to go to those libraries. And also the Aramb Library are only a study cubicle center. There are no books, or maybe there will be books but very less books. There is no community engagement, just everybody is coming and just sitting around a cubicle table and just preparing. So there is no community engagement in those places. And also the Delhi Public Library has some, they don't have a children program in their libraries. So, and no curriculum programs. So that's why our community members are not going to those libraries. They cannot go by walk to those libraries. I would like to emphasize here that we truly empower people through education. It is not enough to guarantee the right to education. We also need right to read. While school offers a formal and structured pathways for students, library provide a much needed informal, unstructured and free thinking time and opportunity that is needed to inculcate the capacity of our to self-learn. Libraries are the space we need to have opportunity to not only be ourselves, but also choose what we would like to be. Think and read. And to do the lifelong learning, they offer a chance to build knowledge collectively. In the world where we are usually taught to compete with each other for knowledge, so like in my childhood, I found a good library which gave me the idea of world, the idea of like to identify myself, to like improve my English, or to help me to find the college to reach. My mother can join a reading circle, because we are like by luck we got this opportunity and we are using it. Like I am using it for my since my childhood. And I could like build my knowledge alongside with my neighborhood. As a child, I found a library that affirmed my right to read. That was a matter of luck. They again, by luck, the library continue and 6,000 people from my area as its member. But for lifelong need for knowledge in India, we must not depend upon the luck, that by luck I got that chance, but like my villager people are not getting those chance. My other neighborhoods, colony are not getting those chance. So like the government must look into the matter, and they should like guarantee us the right to read. Like they should think about the people's national library policy, that in India we don't have national library policy, but we need that policy. Like we all know that libraries are very important. Libraries are important for lifetime learning. I am learning because I am in school, so that time I have some sort of experience, some sort of luck or privilege to going to the school library. When you are in college, you can go to college library. But after that, where we would go? Like in Delhi, we don't have such spaces like TCLP. So if I did not have the TCLP, I don't know where should I go and where I can read, where I can build my solidarity with other people, where I share my thought. So we all need those type of safe spaces for ourselves, for our community, for our whole country. So like we as a TCLP are working to build a library movement, and for that we are doing what we can do, like reaching out to MPs, reaching out to MLA, asking them to think about this and try to like pressurize the government to work on the People National Library policy. Hopefully, like, I don't know, like these steps take long time. Like today I'm saying that we want People National Library policy. I don't know, I'll get it in 10 years, 20 years, or 40 years, or maybe after a century we will get that. Because we all are thinking about that policy. Ranganathan has think about that policy. He has worked a lot about on that, but till now we are not getting it. Some states are very like capable in doing that, like Kerala is doing that. In respect of the libraries are not free, but they are doing. They have a nice library structure. Tamil Nadu also have. Like Uma Mahadevan is doing it in Karnataka. So it is possible, but we have to think, and the government has to take initiative to do that in whole the country and think about the importance of library. Thank you.
Thank you, Mosam, for that powerful sharing. I think we all believe that access to books means access to dreams, and such libraries, when they are open for all, they are truly temples of democracy. So I would like to thank all the panelists once again, Mosam, Blaze, Manas, for their meaningful experience and sharing. I'd also like to thank all my friends from the tech team for facilitating all the PPTs and videos. I think now we can open the floor for a few questions. If yeah.
This is specifically to Mawasam. How does I was free library something I would like to want to make myself. But how does it sustain itself from an economic perspective, or do people return books and questions like that?
So like for sustainability, I can't say ki how it's sustained, because we are also very, like we don't know ki either we will stay in recent 2 years, like we will work in 2 years or not. It's because it's all depend upon the CSR fund, the individual donation. That is why we are saying ki the government should take initiative and they should do this work, because as an individual, we can open it, we can run it for 10 years, 20 years, but after me, who will run? Like for that, we can make we can give ownership to the community. But why should the pressure come on the community? Why should they raise fund? Why should not the government feel the importance of this? So like we can do on our part, but sustainability, you have to like get funds from donation, like asking people to donate. Like we are always asking people to donate us. Right now we are also have, like recently we have posted a fundraising campaign. So always we are asking for money, de do, de do, de do. So, and books, yes, they return books. Like, but we have to assume that if people are losting book, it's like they can lost book. Like if you have some time borrowed books from somewhere, you might have lost the book. So we have to, if we are working for that cause and we feel the importance of giving literature to everyone, giving access to everyone, so after like going to that field, you have to think that, yeah, student may lost the book. Like I have met a librarian, she said, oh, so they are taking the book na. So like, but in our experience, like we are running the library for 10 years, and like children really preserve the book. Like when it's raining, they keep the book in the plastic bag and then they come to the library. But sometimes this happens, like there is no proper road system and there is water and he is coming or she is coming and the book fell down from his or her hand. So what is her fault, or what? It's not her fault. And if what was the structure of your house? Like, does I have a good house? Does I have a good place to keep my book? If I have a good house, then I can keep a book very safe. If in my house there is rat, there is mouse. So it's not her mistake na, if a mouse came and just eat the books or do something with the book. So like we have to assume while working in the community, we have to look at the community, how our community are living, what is the socio-economic culture of our community. If the house system is not good, like if house environment is not good, if they are living in a slum or a small jhuggi, so they don't have a good space to keep the book safe, but they are keeping it very safe. So they are doing their best to keep the book safe, but we also, while working with them, we have to make some fund out कि थोड़ा सा किताब खो जाएगा और हमको वो fund से पूरा करना पड़ेगा और मान के चलना पड़ेगा, because for us reader is important or the book is very much important. So like for most of the libraries, books are important. They don't think about the readers, but for us the reader is important. If the reader lost the book, so we have a program called Repair Day program. So if sometime a child lost the book, we ask them to come to the library, help us in the library to like engage with the book and how we keep the book safe in the library. So the librarian come with sit with her or his, or they help him to make that hour complete. For like they have to help 2 hours and 1 hour reading time. So this will compensate their lost. And now her membership is fixed. Like she can borrow her books again, or he can borrow books again.
Quite a detailed response. Any other questions? Keynote. Any other questions? 2 more questions we're open for. Yeah.
I appreciate all the speakers from the art perspective and community library and illicit perspective. But for me, all these are all continuation of the existing external viewpoint of the education. These things definitely will give an edge to the student learning and also the society. But my point is, each person, whether it is student or adult, the whole learning comes from the internal driver. Unless the person feels inside, I need to do this, and for doing this, I need this knowledge, I need this skill, I need these resources. So what is it that we are doing to bring out that internal drive of the person? Do you have any thoughts?
Thanks for that question. Actually, if I speak about illicit, that is the idea, that we don't want to build something new. We want to complement what is already there. The mainstream that is there, we want to complement it. But what you're talking about is difference between will and skill. Skill is something that everybody works on. Will is something that comes from within and needs to be targeted. I think that comes from particularly in my perspective and my context, the will to take care of themselves. How do we build that when there is hopelessness? And that becomes, that happens through working on their aspirations. Are they constantly reiterating their aspiration? कि बचपन में किसी से सुना था कि IAS बनना है, डॉक्टर बनना है, वहाँ पे कहानी खत्म नहीं हो जाती, या फिर the story doesn't stick there. It keeps on developing. It is not something that they have to subscribe to for life. We constantly articulate our aspirations, and that is something that can happen in class. Is something that we are trying to say, at least elicit.
For me, I am a facilitator basically. I don't call myself a teacher. So my role is to create a safe space where people can actually even think about possibilities and things, or at least explore the possibilities in oneself. And then once that space is created, probably individuals will have more space and capacity to, develop one's own capacity, abilities. In my experience, that sort of spaces are very, very minimum, to even to look within and see the potentials within us.
Being a primary teacher, I would like to know from both of you, sir and community library, ma'am, you have provided some space for art expressions for the youngest learners, I mean Anganwadi children too, and you too. Just now I observed there in your presentation, a small space for art expressions. Are the youngest learner or getting engaged there? Are they trying to draw some pictures on their own? Are they trying to observe the pictures drawn by others? Are they expressing in oral form to the maximum extent, I mean maximum possibility? Why? Because I have been experimenting with Anganwadi children, and they could express action songs, action words, rhymes, greetings, all those things. But I would like to integrate these things also in coming trials in my classroom day-to-day pedagogies. Please, thank you.
So yes, like small children interact with arts, and they give they see the world differently as you see. Like one time, one of my colleague facilitated a session, and she just around the environment, like around an open sky, she asked the children to draw something what they see outside the world, like what they are seeing. So one of the child, what they see a like a building, and there was a building, and there was a like a far away building, and there was a window, and inside the window there was a fan and other thing. So she draw that. And like one of our member, like I have seen them, like they are like 3 or 4 year old, and she was reading a book to me, like there was a Peppa Pig book, and she was reading that book to me like she was reading Peppa. And then she was like ye kar raha hai, ye kar raha hai. Then after that she like wo. तो आई वॉज लाइक कि ओ वाओ ये, और वो हमको मतलब वो पढ़ के इसीलिए दिखा रहे थे बिकॉज हम उनके साथ वो पढ़कर ऐसे जिस तरीके से हम उनके साथ पढ़ते हैं ना किताब खोलकर, उस तरीके से वो लाइक 3 या 4 year old के होंगे. एंड शी वॉज शोइंग मी दैट कि मैं कहानी सुनाती हूँ आज आपको, और वो सुना रहे थे. और सेम एक और मेंबर्स, तो देर इज़ अ बुक कॉल्ड बेटियाँ भी चाहे आज़ादी बाय कमला भसीन. So she does not know कि किताब में क्या लिखा है, but because उसने सुना है, so she was like कि बेटियाँ भी चाहे आज़ादी, घर से बाहर निकलने की आज़ादी. So from the picture she is reading that, not from the lyrics, but from the picture she is reading. Yes.
First of all, recently I did a workshop for Anganwadi teachers in Thrissur district, and I was very alarmed by the reality that some of them were 30 years Anganwadi teachers. They never had an orientation program in art, okay? And Anganwadi children are fundamentally, they should be actually given most time just for like exploring mediums, exploring materials, and things like that. But then they had no orientation. And then in that one day workshop, they saw multiple possibilities. Now the children, we engage with Anganwadi children less, but from class 1 to 7 and all that. But then Anganwadi children, throughout our program, our purpose is not, or our objective is not to teach. Okay. You create a space and you introduce different kinds of materials and different kinds of processes of engaging with the different kinds of mediums, and then children have their own potential to take that process forward. And then we move from there to storytelling and various other things. So, I mean, I never feel that children need to be taught, especially art making. We need to restrain from teaching. That's because too much of teaching of art, and therefore, actually, children are not able to actually explore themselves. It's a huge problem, structural problem. So, उनको जीने दीजिए बस, करने दीजिए बस.
Okay. With this we conclude this session. I thank again once you all for the conversation which we just had. Okay, I'd like to invite Percy for.
Yeah. So sorry for closing the question so early. Sorry for closing the question so early. The hall has to be closed in half an hour. So we'll get done with the closing speech and first, and we'll discuss later.
Hello. Thank you for being very patient today. It's been a long day. So to conclude, we're gonna invite Mr. R. Subramaniam, retired IAS, 1985 batch, sir is an ex-secretary. He has shaped policy in India's core social sector, including rural development, poverty alleviation, tribal development and social justice. As Secretary of Education, he architected the National Education Policy 2020 and foundational roadmap to ensure every child receive high quality, equitable education. I would now like to invite him onto the dais, sir.
Great to see all of you here. Friends, to start with, I wanted to pay a warm tribute to Mr. Ravi Babu. I think whose very charismatic and dynamic personality has actually caused a lot of impact around. Many of you who are here know him personally. I also heard a lot about him from my friend who is just escaping somewhere, Madhu. Where? Oh, you're here. Okay, sorry. So it is, friends. I mean, it is what I realize is that a system is such that one person can actually make a lot of difference. Not required. Actually, mic is not required. So one person can make a lot of difference because I think it is, in order to light up a room, you don't require 1,000 lamps. As long as one lamp burns bright, I think the darkness is out. So we need people like him, and I'm sure the way that you are, Funny and her family is supporting this cause that he has always dear to his heart. I'm sure it will create many more people who will be taking this path and then taking the path of education. Friends, I think the topic cannot be more live. It cannot be more live than this, because we are all dreaming very big. We really talk big things, and nothing wrong in talking big things, nothing wrong in dreaming big. So we are all talking about a Vikasit Bharat by 2047. So what we are trying to do is that we want to leapfrog from a moderate growth rates to extraordinary growth rates. It has happened sometimes in history, but very rarely. What we are aiming is to jump 6 times in terms of your economy size, from 4 point odd trillion dollars to about $30 trillion in a very short period. And we have not done that sort of a growth since independence. So therefore, we are trying to bring together nearly 100 years of progress in about 25 years. We are also talking in terms of paving all inequalities, zero poverty, and also you want to become technological leader, not simply producing technical manpower to the global economy, but you want to become a country which produces technology, makes technical products. You want to be infrastructurally the best, one of the best in the world. So these are all wonderful dreams to have. They are all possible. I want to make it very clear that they are possible, but with a condition that you have to really make your human resources good enough to clinch this opportunity or to make this dream a reality. So the history is offering a rare opportunity for us. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. This opportunity is not going to come again and again and again. No, I'm not talking about Modi's government. I'm talking about a demographic dividend, which is a historical opportunity which is given to the country. We have all, everybody talks about demographic dividend, but if you really understand, for the first time in this country's history, we have more working population than dependent population, simply as that. That means there are more people to earn than people who are dependent. So what is the simple effect of this? When the earnings exceed the earners exceed the dependents, it results in enhanced savings in the economy, enhanced productivity, and also enhanced savings. And enhanced savings is bound to build a much higher growth rate. This is not simply a theory. It's not simply a theory, demographic theory, but it has actually happened. Countries in the Southeast Asian region, they have shown that when they reap this opportunity, Japan, for example, also, when they reap this opportunity, they have actually experienced a phenomenal amount of growth, but by investing a lot in their technical education, in skilling, and also making sure that everybody gets access to good quality education and skills. So friends, it is in this context that we are talking about education today. And as I see the news coming in of the status of the schooling, the quality of schooling, it does not make a very great picture. If you really look at the HDI index of this country, we are somewhere beyond 100. The 100 is, a century is supposed to be a thing of celebration, but not here. Crossing a century is a thing of concern. So we are somewhere around 120, 130. So of course we always dispute this sort of facts, but then the fact remains that you are somewhere at the bottom of this world in terms of the Human Development Index. And I can tell you, if you disaggregate HDI, Human Development Index, there's one factor which pulls it down very substantially, that is the education. Number of years of education that a person is having. So friends, it's a stark thing that is lying in front of us, that you have an opportunity, you have a target, you have an opportunity, but you have a huge challenge, and that we are, and as you see the various reports, we are probably missing this opportunity. And once this opportunity is missed, I think it's not going to recur. As I said, it's once in a lifetime opportunity. So friends, therefore, when we look at the ASERS report, ASERS report, the latest report you would have seen, so it showed a fair amount of improvement in many over years, periodic. But then what it really sort of shows, I mean, if you really look at the numbers, I have just put it in the PPT, but I just didn't want to, I thought that it is better to communicate face to face rather than everybody is looking at the screen. So the assessed numbers show that there has been some improvement in government schools, in private schools, but the numbers are so small. When we are talking about a child being able to do division, which is supposed to do in class 3, we are measuring in class 8, and then we find that only 40% of the children are able to do that. So 60% are completely lost the chance of learning what is a fundamental literacy and numeracy, as we call it, foundational. So things are not really looking very nice as of now, and that's despite the fact that such beautiful experiments are happening in the field level. Kashmir, you have done art, then morning we have seen some very good examples. There are lots of NGOs who are really turning out phenomenal amount of work in a small scale. But unfortunately, these are very good examples which need to motivate many others. That is not happening. So we require solutions which are scalable, which are cost effective, which are effective first and then cost effective next. And when we really talk about this problem, and when we talk to teachers, they will say what to do. The children don't study in their family, their parents are illiterate, what do I do? You ask a politician, he will say construct 10 more buildings. Give me 100 crores, I'll give 10 more buildings. He is only interested about constructing buildings. You talk to a parent, he wants to only English speaking. I want my child to speak English. Nobody is talking to the student. Nobody is talking to the child. The problem is that the main stakeholder is the child, and the child is never consulted in the process. Your point. Nobody talks to the child. So is it possible? And what does the child really want? I mean, he wants to be happy, and he wants to really learn with joy, and then joyful learning is something which we have been hearing since 1980s. Joyful learning experiments have started in Rishi Valley School, around Rishi Valley School in 1980s. But then it all remained in such small experiments in different schools and not scaled up adequately. So friends, we need to look for solutions which are student-centric, which are child-centric, which are also scalable, and which don't depend a lot on additional investment. Whenever we talk about solutions, I keep saying that it is not the investment which counts, rather than the inspiration. So friends, whenever we look at good examples, I mean even the best cases which are presented today, a lot comes because of the motivation. I wanted to look at when the COVID entire world is shut down. In Maharashtra, in Latur district, one teacher, you would have all heard of Jadhav. So one teacher has, what has he done? He used his thinking capacity, and he found that the only way to reach all the students is through mobile. So that is nothing great about it. I mean, we will say there's nothing great about it, but just think of a village in Latur district, the most backward, and none of the parents have got any smartphones, so you can't give any video lessons. So they all had just the feature phones, as we call it. So how to create a 10 students learning group, and all of them ring a particular number and then learn together. So I mean, this particular example has been documented, published, talked about, praised a lot about. But what I want to say is that innovations are happening at the field level. So is it possible for us to recognize them? Is it possible to support the people who are actually innovating, trying to do better, and then build up their motivation? So this is the question that I always have. The National Education Policy 2020 has said many beautiful things, especially in the school education. They said many beautiful things, but the challenge is how to translate it into action. So friends, I know you have had a long day. But I would like to place before you some of the possibilities of the way forward, and I'm sure all of you are more educated and probably working in the education sector much more than me. So you can actually deliberate on, and we have to find solutions which are systemic. So friends, I just wanted to tell you that the solution that we need to have has to be systemic. Many of you have said about, this girl is talking about the government should be doing. But government, the libraries that she talked about, the government should take over the library, but the government library itself is not functioning well. So the basic question is, how do you make the system functional? That's the basic question, and that's where all of us can actually contribute a lot in trying to make the system function. The government has to, the responsibility remains with the government in order to build up a good educated society, and we all contribute to it, right? So we all pay for that. But the point is that when the effectiveness is limited or effectiveness is not happening, it is time for us to really think through and see how we can make this system functional. So some of the ideas that I would like to place before you, and I'm sure at the end of the seminar we can even probably tabulate many of the things which have been discussed here. First thing is that, can we really focus on foundation? You will be shocked to know that till NEP 2020, we never recognized that the pre-primary education is a part of education system. Earlier education policies never really talked about pre-primary education being a part of the education system, and you will be really shocked to know that there are very few teacher training institutions which train teachers in pre-primary education. There is only one paper in your diets, the teacher training institutions, one paper on pre-primary education, that's it. The only option we have is Anganwadis, which are primarily known as a nutrition centers. And that is what is drilled into the Anganwadi worker by the entire Women and Child Welfare Department, that you supply food in time, you go house visits, pregnant mothers. I'm not saying they are not important. They are absolutely important. But equally important is education. So that particular portion has been completely neglected. So my question to you all is that, is it possible for us to transform a few Anganwadis? Is it possible for us to look at a system transformation of Anganwadi system, where the Anganwadi teacher is given simple techniques to bring in effective education? On this, there is a lot of work that's happening already. There's a lot of work happening, and I think this is a system transformation which is waiting to happen. Friends, when the child psychologists have been studying the brain development, they find that 85% of the entire knowledge gathering happens in this particular time, during the pre-primary. So if you miss this opportunity, the child is actually joining the class 1 as a backward child, because he doesn't have the fundamentals in order to take the class 1 education. So my first point that I want to make in this is, is it possible for us to really look at this foundation? 3 to 6 years, can we really work towards making the Anganwadi system more functional, more education oriented, duly supported by effective nutrition? So this, unless we actually make this happen, I think we will have really, we will be just pushing up the people into the primary system who are not primed up in order to take the school education. Second thing, friends, is about the teachers. Today it has become a fashion to say that I want to make everything, I want to design a technology which will take knowledge directly to the students. I want to bypass the teacher. Because you feel that teacher is not sincere, he doesn't come to the class. All that we are doing in terms of the teachers, I mean the states which are supposed to be doing a lot, I don't need to name them, is to take attendance of the teacher whether he is coming regularly to the class or not. Facial recognition. You recognize your, you take attendance on your mail just to sort of ensure that you are there in the school at particular time. Friends, why does a person who is well paid, who is completely trained, equipped, does not go to the school? Do we ever think of that? In a completely demotivated environment where there is no support, no mentoring, no collaborative work, people bound to drop out. And that happens in case of the children also, and more so in case of the teachers. So is it possible for us to really look at the teacher motivation? I see, great people like Madhu, my friend, who has actually taken 2 years off and then taught in the school along with the teachers. Imagine the sort of, shot in the shot in the arm of the teachers who are studying, who are teaching in that school, that a person who is so well placed has actually come and then working along with us. Is it possible to recognize beautiful experiments like Jadhav has done in Maharashtra and celebrate it, and so that 10 other people, 10 other teachers, learn from it and do, and then feel honored that when they're innovating something, then we get celebrated. So building up motivation, friends, is I think is the key for the educational transformation, and then it has to be done on a large scale. I think it is really possible. Something that I really, thinking of Madhu's example, I really feel that large number of people, is it possible for us, we have crores of, we have more than a crore government employees working across the country. Is it possible for all of them to be given 15 days of earned leave every year, so that 15 days they must go and spend in a school? Talk to the teachers, teach the students, and they get to know a lot about the next generation. Today there is a generational gap. You don't even know what your son is really talking about, what he is thinking, what his aspirations are, what he wants to do. You have no idea. So is it possible for us to send everybody, every person who is working, both, why only in government sector, private sector also, allow them 15 days time to go back and then spend time in a school, and then work with the children, and that will also help the teachers to feel more recognized, and also probably feel more honored that people from outside also coming and then helping them out and then teaching. So I'm sure this sort of a effort, we need to really think of strategies in order to motivate the teachers and then make him feel important. Third thing, friends, is that the technology is changing at such a rapid pace that at a rapid pace that we can't even recognize what's happening. Another revolution is forthcoming. So today, across the country, across the world, in fact, the people use artificial intelligence in order to generate new essays. There is a big challenge that is looming before us on the impact of the artificial intelligence on the cognitive abilities of the children. So those days are gone when they used to sit down and then work, struggle to write an essay. So everything is available in fingertips within seconds, and very, very high quality essays. So what happens to all that thinking process? What happens to all the reading that they are supposed to be doing? All that is something which is now threatened. So we need to really look at technology and then see how it can be tailor-made in order to facilitate learning. It should not displace learning, but it has to facilitate learning, and that sort of a thinking has to happen now among all the learned people who are sitting here and the people who are listening to this probably and also thinking about it. So friends, we need to motivate the teacher. We need to equip him with the latest technology. It is not that he is suddenly taken aback about what the student knows which he doesn't know. He needs to be on the frontier of knowledge, technological knowledge, and then use it in order to make the learning more effective. Fourth thing, friends, is that we need to really look at the government influencing government in order to do the right things for taking the education forward. It is It is not the infrastructure. I always insist that it is not the classrooms which make the classes. It is actually the people who sit in the classes who make the class. And therefore, this need for constant interaction with all the stakeholders has to be really looked at. Friends, Harari, in his very, many of you would have read Harari's books. Of course, he is one of the leading thinkers today. We all talk about. So, in this 21 lessons for the 21st century, in a book, he was reflecting on how the education will be in future. Some of his observations are worth reflecting on. He says that the knowledge is changing so fast that by the time, however much the college or a school tries to catch up, by the time you get out of your school or a college, whatever you have learned is completely redundant. The world outside is totally different. The knowledge has actually moved several notches above or are actually shifted many places. So he says that don't try to teach them anything except 4 qualities. He says that look at whether they are able to, whether they are equipped for a critical thinking and problem solving capabilities, whether they are creative or not, whether they are able to, are they simply imbibing knowledge or are they trying to produce knowledge. 3 is that are they communicating, are they able to communicate whatever they are thinking correctly. This is a big problem. This is a big problem even for the people who are coming out of IITs. The communication is a big casualty. And unless you are able to communicate, you cannot actually move forward and also learn, because unless you communicate, you cannot learn. And 4th thing is collaboration. Are you able to work together in a group to create something, or are you a loner? Our system, Indian system, has always been that you go fast and then beat everyone else. That has been our philosophy. As individuals you are really great, but when you work as a team you fail. So, but this collaboration is the only way you can actually make things happen. So, critical thinking, creativity, communication and collaboration, 4 he calls it, are the foundations of learning. Are we teaching that in our classrooms? Can we equip the teacher to first make him realize that critical thinking is very important? So allow the student to think freely. Take the student around in order to so that he can relate whatever is there in the books to whatever is there in outside. Is that possible? If it is, we need to take it to the teacher and then tell him that, listen, don't castigate a child because he is asking questions. As she was saying that ये कमरे से बहुत ज़्यादा आवाज़ आता है. So that means nobody is controlling that particular class, and it is considered as a negative statement about the teacher. He can't control his class. Everybody is. I think there should be a lot of knowledge, a lot of noise in every class, because there has to be a lot of talking. The latest paradigm is 60-40. Let the teacher speak 40 and the students speak 60 in a class. So friends, this sort of we must allow a healthy discussion, debate, talking, and then allow the student to express himself in the classroom. This is something which we can do, and without doing this, you cannot really talk about a critical thinking or a creativity. We allow the student to sort of talk. So the fundamental here is that are we teaching how to learn? Unless we do that, I think these foundations will really not stay for very long. So friends, we need to really look at how to motivate the teacher, how to build a strong foundation starting from the pre-primary education, how to motivate the teacher, recognize their good work, promote innovation in teaching, and then allow pedagogy which actually helps in critical thinking, and then promote a lot of healthy discussion, debate, and also promotes creativity. So there are many such ideas which are now floating around. Some of them are there in the NEP 2020, and so there is certain pressure now on the governments to really start thinking about it. There are some efforts towards this. There's a work that's happening on the FLN as some sort of a push. But then the problem with the government doing it is that it becomes very, very, very formal, target-based, and then you simply collect numbers and then show the reports. But what happens at the field level, whether the people are getting motivated or not, that is something which all of us can do. That is where the role of the citizens coming in order to make these things happen. I'm sure a seminar like this would have given lots of thought for lots of things for all of you to think, and great people are here. They have people who have Venkat is here, so spent a lot of time. Madam is here. So they have spent the whole lifetime thinking about education, making it happen. And let us take inspiration from that. But then, unless all of us get into this act, I think it has to be a national movement if there has to be a change of the system. And that is something which is now it's absolutely essential. The time cannot be lost. As I said, this window for us, window of opportunity is only till 2047. That is somehow, it is something which is actually, the demographic dividend ends in 2047, which is also a very interesting thing, how we are, 100 years of independence, but that is the end of demographic dividend, because after that the dependent population will increase further. So unless everybody comes together and takes it into a national movement, I think we will not be able to realize the dreams that we are doing. The dreams are good, but working to make them happen is more important. Thank you very much.
Friends, I have been assigned a very, very momentous task of summarizing. And from the word go, starting a little after 10 a.m. till now, one expert after another, it's too much to absorb. And so let me see whatever I can recall. I'm going to tell you what I could glean from it. It will require a lot of time to go back, sit and recall what all I have absorbed. But yes, it's been an amazing day for me. To begin with, Professor Anita Rampal, she wanted a reset, basically. She told us about how there has been a distortion in our objectives and how inputs have been sidelined and in favor of outcomes, and how knowledge has been sidelined in favor of skills, and how equity has been sidelined in favor of efficiency, and how, as a result of all this, almost 50% of the schools are sought to be closed or shut down. And I particularly loved, ma'am, about developing a vaccine against disinformation. I love the term, which was to speak about Anekdhara. When I and Ravi thought of this, we first wanted to counter disinformation and the kind of fake news that was spreading through the social media. This was our starting point. when we started this thing. So thank you so much, ma'am, and also you reminded us how not to be complicitous in this kind of distortion that is taking place in our social sphere. And we are so grateful for you, ma'am, for reminding this. And close on hills, in the landscape panel also, how to do it. Venkat Reddy sir told us the story of Lakshmi, who forced to school to tell her why her child should go to school at all. I mean, if you're not going to guarantee some growth in her, some development in her, how will I guarantee my sending her to the school? So that was a fabulous thing. It was short, but very pithy and very nice. Similarly, we had, she's not here, Dr. Preeti Sampath. She talked about the importance of social awareness and why we should underscore learning of humanities and social sciences. Then we had, of course, Mr. Anil Dutt, Rishi Valley and their community work, the development of schools, your metric mela, how you used new methods to make children learn effectively. It was very nice of that. And Mrs. Sunita, who's working for Pratham, the kind of work they're doing about Mera Gaon, Second Chance, all those initiatives. A whole gamut of ideas, a whole gamut of work which is being done. In the afternoon, we learned Parangeti, Tenga Tenga, and how art is art, and the importance of art and the importance of multidisciplinary learning. How learning has to go beyond the classroom, how learning has to go beyond walls, metaphorically, and it's an amazing thing. And these are all things which, and who spares a thought for what is happening to children in conflict-ridden areas? So what is the impact of conflict? It's very nice that there are people spending time to look at 1 in 6 children who are now affected by conflict and that they are studying there. Or another fabulous story about what you're doing for causing the need for a movement for libraries and for a lifetime learning. That is what you said. There are so many takeaways, my friends. It's very difficult to summarize, but I can see that there are so many creative ways and there are so many methods of teaching. Like my friend Subbu said, we should find a way of scaling these up and leveraging the community to make the government accountable. Again, Venkat Reddy sir said, the school is yours. The school is set within the community. So why don't you make it accountable? So a lot depends on us, like Subbu said, with the child at the center of the whole policy, and how to make the child to teach herself. How do we ensure that there is self-learning? This and a whole lot of ideas are there. I'm sure we will tabulate and see how to get the best of it. So I want to thank all the speakers, and I want to thank the landscape panelists, the spotlight panelists, and the 2 moderators, my friend Karthike and Susan, for this thing. Now I want to talk about my friend Ravi Babu. Please bear with me. I'll be somewhat anecdotal in this. In February 1988 was when we joined the Railway Staff College, when we entered the civil service. I met him, he was a batchmate, nothing beyond that. A little later, we were allocated to railway zones. So I and Ravi got into Central Railway. That's when I got to know him and we were moving together. Truth to speak, there was nothing common between me and Ravi. I was fond of having rum with my friends. He never drank all his life. I used to smoke. He never smoked. I was fond of coffee. No coffee or tea for Ravi. He was a Puritan. I used to ask him, why are you living? But but he had something with him, which was, I was fond of carrying 1 or 2 books outside the syllabus, and he would be the first to read. I would end up carrying a book and he would read it. And I had the advantage because he got stuck with me because we were 2 Telugu speaking fellows, and he had the advantage of having worked in the railway system. He was a signal and telecom engineer, so 2 years. Without doing much training, I learned a lot by talking to him. So I was very grateful for that. But there was one area where we had something in common. That was our perspectives kind of overlapped. He was a radical in college. He was a leftist. I also went to a very progressive university, the JNU, which is now, of course, much maligned. So, yeah, there we were. And wherever he worked, he did not stick to the routine or groove. He was not a creature of habit. If he would not stick to what was assigned to him, in the railway operations, we were given to doing the same thing day and again. Morning we'll take position, set targets for us, and evening we'll measure them, and then we are stuck in that groove. Nothing much could be done, and then we were. But Ravi was not like that. He was a person who always looked beyond the routine, who was always active with his mind, thinking beyond the routine. So he did his doctorate from IIM Ahmedabad on a subject about why export cargo is moving inside in India through various modes. What are the modal choices? He became an expert at transport costing, which is and he's done a momentous work called the Total Transport Study for Planning Commission as a part of the rights, and where he has prescribed what should be the modal share for the country, what should be the goods carried by road, by shipping, by rail, based on economic costs, environmental costs, social costs, and other regular transport costs. So he had a fantastic insight into transport costing. He had done a great thesis. He was a prolific writer on both EPW and various other magazines on these things. Yeah, so a small digression here. I have to salute this family, Panishri, Pratyush, and Anekdhara. They made his dream come true by hosting this so effectively, so nicely, and so creatively. It's very easy to organize a seminar, give it to an institution, ask them to organize it. No. They spent a lot of time thinking about how to make this seminar creative. My hats off to this. I'm going to overload them with a little more work. His thesis, I think, merits publication. If it's not already published, that's a project you could take on. And I also think you should bring out a compendium of his articles. They, I think, carry a lot of value for me. So I will, of course, I'm there willing to do my little bit there. And also, around the time, back to what I was saying, he was always my sounding board because of his insight and this thing. Wherever I worked, because he was thinking outside the box, so I would consult him on everything, and he would give me some feedback, and then I would validate my ideas and all that. So after we retired, he asked me, what are you planning to do? I said, maybe I'll create a public policy society. I'll create a website and invite blogs there. So that's when in October we discussed. By then he already started organizing webinars for CILT. So immediately in November we started. The first was on Jawaharlal Nehru. There was a lot of misinformation about the first Prime Minister. He, I think, was the best Prime Minister. And we organized one because there was so much just to discuss. So we had the Chancellor of Ashoka University and a professor from CSDS. And then no looking back. Even Madam Rampal also spoke on national education policy in 2023. We've never looked back. And that's the thing about Ravi. While we in the government system were fettered by conduct rules of what we could say and what we could not say, what we could do and what we could not do, like Badri explained in the morning, he was a chap who never, ever let a chance go without telling people his two bits about what is good, I mean what is wrong with us and what is this, without making a song and dance about it. He always made his point. And that is why I think I want to quote a poem by Sri Sri. It's called Jayaberi. He wrote this poem when in 1933, when the world was going through a radical movement and people were thinking of changing the world. So it's called Jayaberi. I'll read a few lines and I'll explain. It says, Nenu Saitam Prapanchagniki Samidhi Nokkati Ahutichan. Nenu Saitam Vishwashrustiki Ashru Okkati Daraposan. Nenu Saitam Bhuvana Goshaku Verrigontuka Vichi Mrosanu. This is Nenu Saitam means me too. This is a different kind of me too. He said different kind of me too means I. It represents me, represents every individual. Me too, I added a fire stick to the fire that the world was raging with. And me too, I also shed a tear to add to the rainy storm of the world. And me too, he says, I also lent my voice to the roar of the public, the world then which was prevailing. Ravi, I thought, shed a tear, added a fire stick to the fire, and also lent his voice to the roar of the world. So all of us, and Ravi's quality, he would always be beaming. Whenever you think of Ravi, please think of him with a smile. If you are going to talk about him with a smile. If you're going to write about him with a smile. And wherever you are, shed a tear for what is wrong with the society and lend your voice to raise something against what is wrong with the society. I think the spirit of love, Ravi, continues here with this seminar. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the speakers.
I don't know how to top that. I think that was can everyone hear me? I don't know how to top that. Madhu uncle, okay, I'll just read what I've written. Hello everybody. So my father had been trying to get me involved with Anekdhara for since it started, I think, which was whether it was with poster designing or asking him to help with his Instagram reach or to get more audience, younger audience. And I think with this one seminar, he's kind of managed to make me do everything. So while I'm grateful for everybody I am about to thank, I'd like to think of this as a thank you more from my father, because I think he had hope for something like this to happen, a physical seminar for Anekdhara also at some point. So he would have been quite happy to see how people have come together for a cause beyond their own lives. So thank you everybody for first being here. Thanks a lot. So I'd like to begin by thanking my father's family, his father Venkatramaya, mother Rangama, and his siblings Sarojini, Ramesh, Aruna, Renuka, Shanti. Whatever alternative thought my father had, from however small a place, began with his family. he leaned into that thinking and lived by those ideologies for the rest of his life. Now to the friends. Over his lifetime, my father had gathered a close set of friends. They were not just there for him in his personal or professional life, but they were also there to have a discourse with him, with his ideologies, to further his intellect, and gave him the courage to step into the more non-traditional way of being or thinking. I've called all these people uncles and aunties all my life, so I'm not going to call them that. I'm just going to tell them. So to begin with, C.H. Murli, who has been his closest friend and basically family for us. To Sambaya, who has kept my father's Erajanda feelings alive. To Kumar Anam, who just came here, who has already spoken of how they came upon Anekdhara. I remember when Modi was first elected, he was the first person my father called to discuss the disbelief and fear, and then now to the other members of Anekdhara, his close friends and colleagues, Sira Gagarin, Smita Rawat, Badri Narayan, Anil Pavitran, Ajay Berry, and of course, Mr. Sadiq for all the support he's always given us. I also thank everyone else who helped us set up and prep for this seminar, which includes Rahul Pandey, Subodh Gupta, Saradi Uncle, and Deepa Hari. For the participants in the seminar, the speakers, Dr. Anita Rampal, R. Venkat Reddy, Preeti Sampath, Anil Dutt, Sunita Burra, Blaise Joseph, Manas Dakshini, Mausam Kumari, R. Subramaniam, and our moderators, Susan Srimala and Kartikeya Mishra. Thank you so much in believing in the ideas of this seminar, which was not a reality for me until all of you agreed. I think we had a great set of people on stage today, a lot of new perspectives, a lot of new learning, and I hope it continues. Thank you, Percy, for joining last minute and for emceeing and killing it and helping us with very mundane tasks till late at night. The Hyderabad Book Trust for to put up their books outside. The printing team, Venkatesh for the books, postcards, posters from Venu Digital, and Chandbai for the banners, Tegra for the posters, tech team, Benny for the streaming, and the LED screen team, wherever they are, who pulled it off with so many difficulties. And of course, caterers, Samskriti Ruman, and the people of SVK for letting us use this space and creating this atmosphere. My mother and brother, Pratyush and Fanishri, I think I lost a lot of my patience with them multiple times during this organization, but I think they pulled through something that was happening during a very difficult time for them, so. And finally, Shreya, who I would actually call the lead organizer, the chief illustrator, and something else chief. I don't think we would have been able to pull this off without her thought and effort behind this, and basically owning it as her own. Thank you. And finally, thank you all for coming. I hope this seminar remains with you, and I hope the thoughts spread, and that itself would make this a success for me. All right.
Hello everyone. We invite anyone who wants to reminisce about Ravi Babu on the stage to talk about him. There's also tea and snacks outside that all of you can get. The place will close soon, so we'll have to be a little quick with whatever we are doing next. Thank you so much.
హలో మిత్రులారా, మంచాల రవిబాబు గారి బావగారు ఆచారి గారు మాట్లాడతారు ఇప్పుడు రవిబాబు గారి గురించి. అందరు కూర్చోవలసిందిగా కోరుతున్నాం. ప్లీజ్ ప్లీజ్. మిత్రులారా, బంధువులు, స్నేహితులు, శ్రేయోభిలాషులందరూ కూర్చోవలసిందిగా కోరుతున్నాం. ఆచారి గారు రిటైర్డ్ ప్రిన్సిపాల్ గారు, తెలుగు లెక్చరర్గా కూడా పనిచేశారు. రవిబాబుకి బావగారు. బావగారు మన అందరి తరపున.
హలో మీరు మీ ఆసనాల్లో కూర్చుంటే ఒక 10 నిమిషాలు మంచాల రవిబాబు గారి గురించి నేను మాట్లాడదలుచుకున్నాను. దయచేసి అందరూ కూర్చోవలసిందిగా కోరుతున్నాను. I wanted to give a good speech about my brother-in-law and his achievements. So, please be silent and occupy valuable chairs. బయట ఉన్న వాళ్ళు కూడా లోపలికి రావాల్సిందిగా కోరుతున్నాము. I wanted to deliver some few words about the achievements of Ravi Babu, who is my beloved brother-in-law, unfortunately passed away. He is a great institution. He is a highly knowledgeable man. నేను తెలుగులో అప్పుడప్పుడు అంటూ ఉంటాను, ఏవాయ్ బావమరిది నువ్వు మేధావి వర్గానికి సంబంధించినోడు వాయ్ అని అంటుంటాను. రియల్లీ హీ ఈజ్ ఎ గ్రేట్ జీనియస్. హిస్ థాట్స్ ఆర్ వెరీ ప్రొవోకేటివ్ అండ్ ఐడియలిస్టిక్ టు యంగర్ జనరేషన్. He also showered a love towards me in so many occasions. He is a man of kind heart, and moreover, he is a great humanist. I never find any fault at him up to his career. That is the greatness of Ravi Babu, who was happened to be a brother-in-law of mine. He has crossed so many jobs, but he got through, he achieved IRTS, and his life already spent for the welfare of the railways uplift. I don't know so much about his job details, because whenever he comes to my house, he speaks only about family, welfare and all these things, not his job career. That's why I have no knowledge so much about his job career. ఇక ముఖ్యంగా చెప్పాలి అంటే అతడు నా ఆత్మీయుడు. అతడు చనిపోయాడని తెలిసినప్పుడు నాకు తెలియకుండానే నా కళ్ళ నుంచి కన్నీళ్లు స్రవించాయంటే అతడు మా కుటుంబం మీద, మా మీద ఎంతటి ప్రగాఢమైనటువంటి ముద్ర వేశాడో మీరు అర్థం చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఎందుకంటే పెద్దవాళ్ళు చెప్తుంటే విన్నాను, అయ్యో ఈయన చాలా మంచివాడు, తొందరగా వెళ్ళిపోయాడే అని ఎవరైనా బాధపడుతుంటే పెద్దవాళ్ళు అనేవాళ్ళు, మామిడి పండు ఉంది, బాగా పండింది, బాగా రుచిగా ఉంటుంది, అటువంటి మామిడి పండు కోసుకొని తినడానికి ఎవరైనా ఇష్టపడతారు. అలాగే దైవం కూడా మంచివాడిని తీసుకుని పోయి మరో విధంగా మరలా జన్మింపజేస్తాడు అని పెద్దలు చెప్తుంటే విన్నారు. ఇది నిజమా కాదా, ఇది హేతుబద్ధమా, అనైతికమా అహేతుకమా అని దాని గురించి మనం చర్చించుకోవాల్సిన పని లేదు. ఎందుకంటే మానవుడు అనేవాడు మంచి ఫలం, చెట్టు కాసేటువంటి మంచి ఫలం. అందరూ కాదు, కొంతమంది, వాళ్ళనే పురాణ పురుషులు అంటారు. వాళ్ళే చాలా కాలం గుర్తుపెట్టుకుంటుంది సమాజం. అదే అన్నమాట. నువ్వు ఏం తిన్నావురా అని ఎవడు అడగడు, గారెలంటే ఇష్టమా బూరెలంటే ఇష్టమని ఎవడు అడగడు, ఏం మంచి పని చేశావు అని అడుగుతారు. నేను ఈ సత్క్రియ నేను చేశాను అంటే అది సమాజానికి పనికొచ్చిందంటే అంతకంటే గొప్ప మరొకటి లేదు. జన్మించిన దానికి సార్థకత్వం ఏమిటంటే తల్లిదండ్రులకు పేరు తీసుకురావాలి, సమాజానికి పేరు తీసుకురావాలి, వాళ్ళు సంతానానికి కూడా పేరు తీసుకురావాలి అంటే మనము సత్కార్యాచరణ చేయాలి. వీ హ్యావ్ టు డూ ద గుడ్ టు ది సొసైటీ, నాట్ ఓన్లీ సొసైటీ, టు హిజ్ ఫ్యామిలీ. ఆ విధంగా డెడికేటెడ్గా తన జీవితాన్ని, తన వ్యక్తిగత జీవితాన్ని, తన ఉద్యోగ జీవితాన్ని రెండు కూడా సమాంతరంగా ఆయన ఎంతో విధంగా, అంటే కొంతమంది ఉన్నారు, కొన్ని ఉద్యోగాలు ఉంటాయి, ఆఫీసు పోగానే కౌంటర్ మొదలు పెడతారు, సాయంత్రానికి లెక్క చూసుకుంటారు. ఆ దగులుబాజీ దౌర్భాగ్యపు అవినీతిమయమైనటువంటి జీవితము అతనికి లేదు, అతనికి నచ్చదు. యాజ్ పర్ రూల్గానే ఆయన పనిచేసేవాడు. అది అతనిలోని గొప్పతనం. నేను ఎప్పుడైనా ఆఫీస్కి వెళితే కూడా నేను నవ్వుకుంటుంటాను, అరే మీ బావ వచ్చింది చెప్పరా అని పీనుతో అంటున్నాను, నన్ను కూడా ఒక అరగంట కూర్చోబెడతాడు. నేను ఫీల్ గాను, ఎందుకంటే అతని సిస్టమ్ అది. ఈజ్ ఏ కమిటెడ్ మ్యాన్ ఫర్ హిజ్ డ్యూటీ. ఆయన ఖాళీగా ఉన్నప్పుడు నన్ను పిలిచేవాడు, నేను కూడా ఆ విధంగానే సమయాన్ని ఎలాగైనా సరే ఇక్కడ గడపాలి అనే ఉద్దేశంతో నేను బయట వెయిట్ చేసేవాడిని. అక్కడ పక్షపాతానికి ఎక్కడ అతని జీవితంలో ఎప్పుడు కూడా అవకాశం ఇవ్వడం. ఒక్కొక్కసారి అనిపిస్తుంది, మనుషులు ఎందుకు పుడతారా అంటే తినడానికి బజ్జోడడానికి కాదు. మనుషులు పుట్టారంటే వాళ్ళు సమాజానికి, ఇతరులకు, కుటుంబానికి, బంధువర్గానికి ఆదర్శప్రాయంగా బ్రతకడానికే పుట్టాలి. ఆ విధంగా ఎవరైతే ఆ విధంగా బ్రతకడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేస్తారో సమాజం వాళ్ళని ఒక దేవుళ్ళలాగా పెట్టుకుంటారు. దేవుడు అంటే ఎవరో కాదు, ఏ గుడ్ మ్యాన్ ఈజ్ ఏ గాడ్ అని ఎంతోమంది పెద్దలు చెప్పారు. అని దేవుడు అంటాం, ఇప్పుడు దేవుడు అంటాం, నడిచే దేవుడు అంటాం. ఎందుకంటాం? వాళ్ళు సమాజానికి ఉపకారం చేశారు. అది మానవుడికి జన్మించినందుకు సార్థకత్వం. జన్మించినందుకు సార్థకత్వం ఏంటంటే సమాజానికి మంచి చేయాలి, అంతేకాని సమాజానికి చెడు చేయడం, చెడు సంకేతాలు పంపించడం అది మానవ జన్మ కాదు, అది రాక్షస జన్మ అంటారు. ఆ రాక్షసులతో మనకు పని లేదు. ఇంకా కొంతమంది మానవ సమాజంలో కనిపిస్తూ ఉంటారు, చూడడానికి ఆనందంగా కనిపిస్తారు, ఆహ్లాదం కనిపిస్తారు, కడుపులో అద్భుతమైనటువంటి ఉబ్బలి అంటారు, ఊబి అంటారు, ఊజిల్యాండ్ అంటారు, అది దుర్మార్గం కడుపులో పెట్టుకుంటారు. ఆ విధంగా రోజుకు 2 జన్మలెత్తి మాట్లాడుతూ ఉంటారు. వాళ్ళతో మనకు పని లేదు. ఎవరైతే ఈ సమాజానికి మేలు చేస్తారో వాళ్ళు కలకాలం జీవిస్తూ ఉంటారు. ఇప్పుడు గోదావరికి ఆర్థర్ కాటను కట్టాడండి, బ్రిడ్జి కట్టాడండి. ఈనాటికి ఉభయ గోదావరి జిల్లాల వాళ్ళను కాటన్ మహాశయుడిని ఇప్పటికీ మెచ్చుకుంటారు, దేవుడు అంటారు. ఎందుకని ఆ గోదావరికి కట్టడం వల్లనే ఈనాడు 2 జిల్లాలు సస్యశ్యామలంగా ఉండవే కాకుండా సంపన్న రాష్ట్రాలుగా, సంపన్న జిల్లాలుగా ఉన్నాయన్నమాట. అలా సమాజానికి ఎవరైతే చేస్తారో సహాయం చేస్తారు. ఇప్పుడు వీరేశలింగం పంతులు గారు ఉన్నారు, మహానుభావుడు. అంటే ఆయన చరిత్ర చదివాను, ఆయన మీద చాలా రీసెర్చ్ కూడా చేశాను నేను. ఆయన చూస్తే ఇలాంటి వాళ్ళు ఉంటారా అని అనిపిస్తుంది. ఉంటారు, ఉన్నారు కూడా. వాళ్ళను ఎవరు కూడా ఈ సమాజము మర్చిపోదు. అర్థమైంది? ధర్మము, న్యాయము, సత్యము, ఈ 3తోనే మానవ సమాజం నడవాలి. ఈ 3ంటికి మసిబూసి మారేడికాయ చేస్తే అది ఆత్మవంచన అవుతుంది. అలాంటి వంచన లేకుండా పవిత్రమైనటువంటి ఆత్మశుద్ధితోటి నా బావమరిది అకాల మరణం చెందారు. ఆ మరణం ఇప్పటికీ నాకు వేదనాభరితంగానే ఉంటుంది. ఎందుకంటే ఆయన ఎవరికి ఉపకారం చేసాడో లేదో తెలియదు, కానీ అపకారం మాత్రం చేయలేదు. అందువల్ల ఆ మహానుభావుడు ఇంకా చాలా కాలం ఉంటే సమాజానికి కొంత మేలు కలుగుతుంది అనేటువంటి భావనతో మమ్మల్ని అందరినీ కూడా విడిచిపెట్టి వెళ్ళిపోయాడు. అందువల్ల ఆ మహానుభావుణ్ణి ఈ విధంగా సంస్మరించుకోవడం అది నా అదృష్టంగాను, నాకంటే చిన్నవాడి నా ముందే కళ్ళ ముందే వెళ్ళిపోయాడంటే దుఃఖపడుతూ ఈ ఉపన్యాసాన్ని ముగిస్తూ ఉన్నాను.